don't know anything about the Nome household. I don't know Chrissy Nome. I know she shot her dog in the face. And then she kind of made a mess of the Homeland Security thing. Now she's got a husband named Byron, and he likes cross-dressing. And he likes having the big tits, the milkers. This Nome is devastated. The family was blindsided by this, and they asked for privacy and prayers at this time. What am I supposed to pray? I'm supposed to pray for this guy and his tits? So wait a minute. All the horror that's happening in the world, people are literally being vaporized by machines of death. We're bombing schoolgirls while they sit in class, and I'm supposed to pray for Kristi Noem's husband and his H-cup tits? That's where the direction my prayers are supposed to go in? When the people in Gaza are wandering around trying to find grain so they can bake a loaf of bread, I'm supposed to pray for Kristi Noem's husband and his big tits? So she's cheating on her husband, and he's got these big tits on. Well, that's nice. You know, folks, I don't know what to tell you. This is our country, and you should be proud of it. You have to be proud of your country no matter what state or condition it's in. Do you understand that? You have to be proud of your country, no matter what it looks like, no matter if your Homeland Security director is cheating on her husband, and in response to that, he's on bimbo fetish websites with a massive pair of tits on, just trying to get dommed out. You have to be proud of your country. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I'd love the not bombing of the children in the school. That, to me, is the no-no here. Pam Bondi. Oh, another soldier down. Pam Bondi was fired as Attorney General. Someone who took no prisoners. Literally, she didn't arrest anyone. And she came in guns a-blazing. And as soon as those guns got in, they stopped a-blazing. They weren't blazing that much. She will be replaced by Attorney General Todd Blanche. You know him. He's the guy that got Ghislaine Maxwell moved to that cushy prison. So it's all going well. Pam did a tremendous job overseeing a massive cover-up. I'm kidding. Crackdown. They didn't love her handling of the Epstein files, and she really didn't prosecute enough of his political opponents. Was not like covering it up quickly enough, or that she made some kind of like statements that confused people, which is true. It was confusing. But he had this little beef with her, like this little gripe about something or other that he ended up firing her for. And it wasn't primarily because of the Epstein files, which people have kind of moved on, because now we're in Iran and it's World War III. So, I mean, people have really kind of moved on from that. All the Google searches have like fallen off completely. The country has moved on, which it shouldn't be, because, that's a massive story, and all of those files should be out. That makes sense. But no one, people are kind of moving on. He was unhappy with her, and then he threw her out, and he threw her to the dogs. But Pam Bondi, make no mistake, is one of the most heroic figures in our country to pedophiles. To wealthy and well-connected pedophiles. She really will be remembered as someone who did everything she could to protect and insulate them from any type of consequences for their actions. And they thought they could kind of just sweep it under the rug and that nobody would care. And, Pam Bondi, it was the most, remember they had all those Republican influencers show up. They gave them binders of the first batch of Epstein files to be released, and all these morons are standing there with these binders full of nothing, and there's all these photos, and then quickly it was figured out that was just completely fake, and you didn't have to be that bright to know that, and nobody has to be a genius to realize that there's a massive cover-up, like a global cover-up, except the home of the cover-up is here in the United States of America. Like, I think, like Prince Andrew's going to get charged. Like, people are resigning in other countries. They're leaving boards. They might face criminal prosecution. In America, nobody's faced any consequences, legal or otherwise. So Pam Bondi is kind of the face of that with the rest of the administration. And, you know, who's this? Oh, yeah, take a look at this. Remember this clown show? So you have all these Republican influencers walk out with these binders. I mean, this is like school play level. It's like going to see a school play that sucks and it's not cute and it's just like a pageant of untalented children and you're bored and you want to leave. That's what that scene of these Republican influencers walking out of the White House with these like binders full of nothing. Phase 1 release of the Epstein files. You were like, well, this is a cartoon. And then they do release some of them. People start reading through some of these things going, whoa. This like talks about a dimension of power most people don't even know exists. And then they're like, fuck it. Iran needs a new government. They got nukes. Iran has nukes. We have to go in there and liberate people of Iran. And we got to forget about the Epstein files. And then we're going to get rid of Pam Bondi. And they say Kash Patel might be next. That's that his head is on the chopping block. Can you get up? You know, Iran hacked his, his email. This is the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, by the way. This isn't like an improv comedian or this isn't like an extra on Reno 911. This is the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I think they saw this video and went, this guy's not going to find out who killed Charlie Kirk. There's no way. Play it again. They're looking at this video. I will never not play this, by the way. Yeah, this guy's not going to figure out who killed Charlie Kirk. Pretty good. He's doing like, yeah, it's not bad. He's acting it out. He's got the butt moving. How about conversion therapy for him? I mean, I don't know what. Can we convert him to like the head of the FBI, actually? Like a serious person? That's all the Republicans really have left because, you know, they've done nothing they said they were going to do. And now they're going to cut Medicare and all of these programs so that we can fund the military, and we're going to have like a $1.2 trillion military budget, which is the exact opposite of what they said they were going to do. And the administration of morality is led by a thrice married gambling tycoon, Kristi Noem with her husband's fake tits, and then Kash Patel, who was like doing some like bacha-bazi, like, Afghan boy dance to please some warlord. I mean, I don't know what's going on over there. White House seeks $1.5 trillion for defense in new budget request. I mean, again, they want to convert the country into a war economy. By the way, it's the last gasp of the American empire. This is it. This is the tipping point. We're being exposed a little bit in Iran. Iran's ability to hit our bases, pretty astounded at Iran's ability to fight back. Iran's been preparing for this for a very long time. And, you know, we always see ourselves as a military powerhouse, and we are to a degree, but this has not gone well. No one who is a serious person will tell you that this has gone well. It's exposed weaknesses in our intelligence, in our decision-making capability, in our overall military strategy with regard to Iran. This has exposed a lot of fault lines in the American empire's ability to maintain an empire, which it seems like it can't. It seems like it won't be maintaining an empire for much longer. But we're upping the military budget to $1.5 trillion, and you won't have health care. You're not going to have child care for your children. You're not going to have the money to go to college and learn how to be a nurse. You're not going to be able to have the money to put gas in your car to go to work and like feed your family. Instead, we want $1.5 trillion so that we can go around the globe toppling empires and trying to suck up their resources. And it's the complete opposite of what these people said. Here's Trump, by the way. And by the way, you can't ignore the Israel connection. in this. You can't ignore Netanyahu, and you can't ignore the people that put Trump into office and the people that gave him lots of money. And here's Trump talking about that there's not going to be any more daycare or Medicaid because of the war.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of
It's the greatest con in history. By the way, it's the greatest con in history. I mean, truly. It's the greatest. And I don't say great in like a good way. It is truly the most successful con in history. It makes Enron look like a guy doing three-card Monte on the street. Anything that you can remember and identify as a complete and utter scam, this is the greatest con in history. To run as an America first, and you're going to take care of America, and then turn around and go, all of these things, daycare, Medicare, Medicaid, we have nothing to do with that. We're fighting wars. That's what we're here to do. We're here to have a defense budget of $1.5 trillion, and we're here to fight wars. It is the greatest scam in history. You got to hand it to him. And I mean, truly, and not in, again, not in a moral way, but like you got to hand it to him. This is the greatest about face in political history that I have really ever seen. It is the greatest scam. It has taken in people. I believe J.D. Vance, when he came on my show and said, we want to stay out of Middle Eastern wars, Donald Trump's first term did not have he killed Qasem Soleimani. I'm mispronouncing that, whatever. But he was not running all over the world and doing this. There's a lot of things about Trump's first term to criticize, but he was not doing this. I think he's going to go after the economy. He's going to go after the DEI stuff. He's probably going to pull a lot of the money out of Ukraine and cut some deal. And she said, he supports Israel. He's going to support Israel. And I said, okay. At that point, I was, that was kind of expected. And I said to her, I was like, you think he's going to get a deal done in the Middle East? And she goes, yeah, because that's what he campaigned on. He would get a deal done in the Middle East. But I did not think, truly, that somehow he was going to launch a preemptive war in Iran. And then I didn't think we would be kind of losing it. By the way, drag me all you want, for not being omniscient or not being clairvoyant. I had no idea. I had no clue that Iran was going to be able to blow military bases off the earth and we weren't going to defend them. I didn't know that our Gulf allies were going to get attacked and we weren't really going to be able to do that much about it. I had no idea that this was going to go this poorly. I know Miriam Adelson gave him a lot of money. I know a lot of big donors gave him a lot of money. I know they wanted him to support Israel, and the guy's always supported Israel. He's never not supported Israel. That was never a question. This was not a guy that identified with the plight of the Palestinians at any moment in his life. His daughter converted to Orthodox Judaism. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is deeply enmeshed in Israel. That was all obvious, and it was known. But the idea that he was going to back Israel into Iran and into Lebanon and into all of these places truly is deeply psychotic. And the reason I didn't think it was going to happen was because I always thought there was even though he is an erratic figure, I really thought he listened to the market and he cared about money. I thought if there was erratic tendencies he had, they were governed somewhat by this idea that he was kind of a pragmatist in the sense of the economy and money and to see all of that kind of go out the window. People in America felt they were losing ground. They were financially. After Obama had left office, people had lost homes and people hadn't, regained their economic footing. And he was able to kind of make that the central feature of his campaign, which was immigration. He was not always the most eloquent about it, obviously, but he grabbed onto this idea of immigration and trade. And that really started to motivate people. And it was just basically this American nationalist ideal. He wasn't like a Christian nationalist. He'd been married multiple times. He's a gambling tycoon, a deeply flawed human being who admitted to it and said, I participated in the scam of this country forever, and I know how it works. And that was really refreshing to hear, because a lot of people were like, this guy's breaking the fourth wall. Dave Chappelle did a great monologue on SNL about it, where he's like, when I heard him say that, I was like, God, this guy came out when they talked about Putin killing people. He goes, we kill a lot of people here too. No one had ever heard anything like this. I'm 41 years old. No one had ever said anything like this on television that was running for office. And by the way, barely anyone said anything that approximated that, even in the media. Like, that was like, you had to go to like a Barnes and Noble and buy a book that was like a totally like Howard Zinn book to hear anything like that for the most part. They weren't saying that on CNN, and they weren't saying it on Fox News. They would debate the Iraq War. They would whatever. They didn't like Bush. But what he was saying about the nature of the corrupt, oligarchy that ran the country, nobody had said publicly. He then wins an election and then has a pretty, other than the fact that there was like emotional terrorism every day of his tweets and people reacting to him and, all of that. But the reality was, even his detractors were like, well, the economy's pretty good. We're not in wars. He governed kind of like a 90s liberal his first term. There was no, he did the Muslim ban. It was sloppy. It was reversed immediately. There was demagoguery of issues, but he wasn't like this psychopath that people had feared, where it was like, we're going to be in a world war. This term is making up for that. This term, he's really like feeling himself. It's like, somebody goes away in school and they get hot over the summer, and then they come in, they got a whole new attitude. And you're like, what happened to my friend? And now they're like, now I'm treating you like shit. I got hot. Somebody leaves, your little chubby friend leaves school, they come back and get hot, and they don't want to sit with you anymore, and they don't give a fuck about you. In fact, they want to invade Iran. That's what it felt like. It felt like this person who people had identified with, not in the sense that they own their own plane, but in the sense that like he was saying things that people felt they couldn't say, and people felt that nobody was allowed to say, which is like the people that run the show here are like hopelessly corrupt. And this second term has been the shit show, is this unimaginable, to almost to a point where I could almost, if I wanted to get really crazy here, I almost think is it almost chaos by design? Is there an element of this here that is so crazy and so over the top? And are they trying to induce chaos by design? Are they getting ready? You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking insane that you have to wonder, is there some part of this that they feel is a necessary step to whatever comes next? And I don't know what that is. And I almost don't even want to think about what that could even be. But is that part of this? Is this motley crew of people around him? They run the gamut from incompetent to nefarious. That being said, even considering how the rollout of all of these things has been, is there at some level, and I don't even know if there is, some method to this madness of complete chaos economically, culturally in the streets? Like, is there some method to this where people are going to see this and take advantage of it, and that they see this as some necessary step to what comes next? And I don't know what that is. That AI governance? Is it let's get rid of people because their husbands put on fake tits and, they're embarrassing and they lie and they're subject to blackmail and so are we just going to say, hey, how about AI governance? Because, supercomputers and super intelligent beings, whatever, so, are we going there? Is that the next step? Is the next step like a centralized Putin-style, more autocratic step, which involves the AI. It's the digital control grid. And the way to usher people into that is to raise the level of chaos so that people are welcoming of this, because it will be, by comparison, calmer. You'll lose all your rights. You won't be able to say anything. You won't be able to do certain things you used to be able to do. You're not starting a business, but you're not doing that now. You're not going to own a house, but a lot of people aren't doing that now. Is this the step before that next phase? I don't know. Is there something behind a lot of this that's even darker and more nefarious than the things that you're seeing? And I'm not trying to exempt how clueless somebody like Kash Patel is, or a Pam Bondi or whatever. But it's obvious that they're not running anything. You have to say, if you're an adult, you realize pretty quickly that a lot of that's a show. They're not running anything. Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, seems like an important job. Is it? She's at the mothership watching Kill Tony. Is it an important job? She didn't want the Iran war. What happened? She was against regime change. What happened? You know, this idea that Iran was not close to nuclear weapons. Well, if she's the director of national intelligence, you should be, who the hell are we listening to? It sounds like an important job. Is it? I have no problem with, like, her. She wanted to come on the show. But I don't know. She's the director of national intelligence. It's like a fake job. She, like, goes and reads, like, well, it is the president's job to decide who to attack and when. And it's all right. And then she's, like, in Hawaii doing like, whatever, hula dances or something, whatever. But is that a real job? Does anyone believe Kash Patel's running the FBI? Does anyone believe that? Does anyone believe that any of these people are running anything? The small percentage of these institutions they're running are a mess because they're all idiots. But does anyone believe that they have, like, the actual power? Or, like, they're fools. They're fools. It's, like, quite obvious. They're all there for the reason that they are incompetent, that they're like a collection of, like, state attorney generals and podcasters and Trump loyalists and sycophants and whatever. But, like, are these people the architects of what's going on right now? Or is it worse? Is it something else? And this is being used. And I don't know the answer. I'm just literally asking the question. Is this the period of time where people are meant to lose faith in all government? Is that what this time is? Is this the time where we start to introduce things like the draft? We militarize the country. We turn it into a militarized economy. We start taking away people's rights to criticize that. Is this the time that all starts to happen? And the Democrats were going to have this guy die in jail. And they kept prosecuting him, and they kept lumping cases, and they gave him a choice, die in jail or become the president. And then a bunch of people showed up to Mar-a-Lago with a lot of money and said, we're going to put you in. And what about this assassination attempt? And what the hell was that? Nobody even knows. He doesn't bring it up. No one brings it up. Don't know what the fuck's going on. So I hope this is as bad as it gets. I hope that it's just this level of incompetence, that you've got a bunch of morons that he picked off television, and that we're all just watching a bad reality show that will end. That's the best case scenario, is that you're watching a bad reality show that will end. The worst case scenario is that you're watching a bad reality show that's engineered to be a bad reality show, because the next thing that's coming is going to be worse, but by comparison, you might think it's better. That's the scarier prospect. And I don't really know the answer. And if you don't like me asking that question, you can suck on my big, fat tits.